All right, everybody. Good morning. Welcome to Known Live. I'm Barb Mango, Community Manager of Known, and I am really excited for Amanda Rivera, who's going to give her presentation today on how to get your stuff featured in major media outlets. And I am just learning how to use this tool. There we go. We got the up there. And I'm actually going to allow Amanda to introduce herself. But before I do that, I want you to know that we are interested in featuring people from our community on this platform. So if you need a platform and you have something that you have to say, we'd love to feature you. So you can connect with me. I will occasionally put the banner up with how to connect with me, and you can send me an email and we'll talk. We'd love to hear who you are, what you do, who you serve, and what is the value that you bring to those people. The other thing I want to bring to your attention is that we've started a new series called Pivot Talks, where we are featuring folks who are pivoting and who have pivoted and or are pivoting to kind of figure out like what are some of the best practices. And we're thinking about focusing on specific industries, and we're really interested in the restaurant industry in New Haven especially. So if you or someone you know is in the restaurant business and are interested in participating in that, send me an email. Or if you're in any other business and it's something that interests you, you let me know. And I also want to let you know that we have another event coming up next Thursday at 8:30 in the morning. It's featuring Megan Wooding, who is a self-published New Haven author, and her book is called Dear Sister. So rather than take up any more of Amanda's time, I'm delighted to have Amanda here. I met her first live at Known, and I have been following her on Instagram, and she is an absolute delight. And you're going to see what I'm talking about momentarily. Take it away, Amanda.
Oh, thank you. So just wanted to say, hey, what's up? What's up? I'm Amanda. I am a thought leadership coach. I do PR. And so I help entrepreneurs create and market their online personal brand so they can reach the masses. And the predominant way that I do that is through PR and media features. So getting them featured in places like Forbes, Vice Magazine, New York Times, WSJ, Thrive Global, you
Not
name
messing
it.
around.
Yeah, we do really top level premium media attention to really create brand awareness for your brand and for your business. Get it the visibility that it deserves in front of your ideal client so that you can serve them.
Fantastic.
Yep. Exciting. But yeah, actually, let's dive into the training.
All right. I'm going to share the screen.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So today we're going to learn how to write articles that get featured in major media outlets. So all those different places that I was talking about, like Forbes, Thrive Global, Thought Catalog, you name it. I'm going to teach you how to actually write an article that an editor would pick up. So, hello. My name is Amanda. Like I said before, I help entrepreneurs create and market their online personal brand so they can reach the masses while loving their life in the process. I do a lot of mindset and personal development work with my clients because what I've noticed is the more you are self-confident in yourself, the more you own yourself, the more you own your mission and your purpose, the easier it is for you to be visible, the easier it is for you to share your purpose online, the easier it is for you to go big and go bold, right? And so I've been featured. Those are the places I've been featured. As you can see, that's an as seen in bar. And today, with what I'm going to teach you today, you can create your own as seen in bar and start getting featured in premium media outlets.
So I love that you have while loving their life in the process. That is such an important thing.
Yeah.
And one of the things I want people to know about you is I think the second time I met Amanda, I said, you know, Amanda, I got to tell you, I love your smile. And you know what she said to me? She said, it's inner joy. And I was like, okay, you are speaking my language. So this woman is not just telling you what to do. This is how she lives her life.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. And like, thank you for noticing that and reflecting that. So I honor that.
You're welcome.
Yeah, it's I'm a firm believer that what you believe on the inside shows up on the outside. Hence why I use the word manifested.
Yeah.
So my clients have manifested going viral, landing 1.5 million views on Instagram, getting featured in premium media outlets, and landing sponsorships for their live events with like places like Chipotle, Trello, Agora Pulse, ManyChat, and more. And the reason behind these like really big testimonials is that blend of mindset influence with high level PR strategy. So my background, I have a master's in corporate PR. And so I leverage that background with mindset personal development strategies to really help you become the thought leader in your industry. All right, so now we're going to help you manifest your next media feature and write the best article ever. So there are two types of article media features. There's mentions and guest contributor. And you're probably thinking, okay, what's the difference between the two? Well, mentions is a journalist quotes you and mentions you in the article. So if you've ever seen an article where a journalist will quote somebody or they'll say, so-and-so said this on this topic, that's what we would refer to as mentions. Guest contributor status is where you write a guest article and build your thought leadership. So your full article is your full opinion, your full perspective, your full teaching on whatever the topic of the article is. And what I recommend for a lot of my clients and the people that work with me is to have a blend of both, right? There's benefits to both. But today we're going to learn guest contributor. So you're going to learn how to write a guest article and build your thought leadership. So what are the benefits of writing an article that gets featured in major media outlets, right? You're like, okay, this is cool, Amanda, but like, why would I want to do this? Well, I'll tell you. One, it builds up brand awareness. So more people are knowing about your brand, more people are aware about your brand, more people realize that it exists. Two, it's free traffic and visibility. So there's this limiting belief in the online space, and especially when I talk to a lot of new entrepreneurs where they feel like, oh, I have to spend years building up a social media platform, right? I have to get to 100,000 followers on Instagram, or I have to spend tons of money on paid ads to get a global reach. The great thing about media attention and getting featured in places like Forbes or getting featured in places like Thrive Global or wherever you're getting featured in is you get the benefit of reaching their audience and reaching their platform. And it's free, right? It's free publicity. Also, you attract warm, qualified leads. So you attract people who are your ideal client. You attract people who are reading on that platform, and you could get really specific. It builds your thought leadership. So it builds up your credibility, your expertise. You get to highlight what you know. And one of the coolest things about getting your article featured in a major media outlet is media momentum. And what I mean by media momentum is your article ends up attracting more opportunities. So one article creates a momentum, like creates a ripple effect of opportunities. So you'll have companies reach out to you. You'll have potential clients reach out to you. You'll have journalists reach out to you. Like when the first time I ever got featured in Forbes, I had a journalist from BBC News reach out to me because that Forbes article was on page 1 of Google, and they were like, we want to write about you.
Fantastic.
Right? And so one article will, if you do it in the way that I'm going to teach today and that I help my private clients do will give you a variety of opportunities after that. So, and another cool fact about writing it in the way that I'm going to teach today is one piece of content can drive traffic, attract leads, and build your influence for years to come. So one of my clients, Katie, she wrote an article for addictedtosuccess.com. And the majority of her testimonials start with, I read this article on addictedtosuccess.com and knew I needed to work with Katie. And she's still getting clients from that article. So one piece, taking the time to write a really juicy, amazing article for a big media outlet is a worthy investment of your time. And you also get a pretty as seen in bar that you could use on your website. So you could be like, oh, I've been seen in all these places. It helps with conversion rates. It helps with, brand awareness and influence.
And credibility for sure.
Right? And credibility for sure. Exactly. All right. So let's begin. Step 1, you got to do your research. So that means checking article submission guidelines, aka what they will and will not accept. That means checking what's on their front page and choosing an article to model. And I'm going to explain a bit further. So why do we do this? The fastest way to know what an editor will publish is to look at what they've already published. People follow patterns. It also ensures you're creating something that the media outlet wants. So 9 times out of 10, when I'm talking to somebody and they're like, I've been writing articles and trying to pitch it and none of the editors are picking it up, they miss out on this step. So they forget to do the research part of where they're pitching to. So for example, they might send an article that they think is great or that they think is awesome, but does not fit with Entrepreneur Magazine or does not fit with Forbes or does not fit with Thrive Global's branding and messaging. So you're trying to send an article that would never be published on that media outlet or they would never pick up. So you want to see what's already on that platform. You want to see what they already published. You want to see what is out there and model that, because the fastest way to know what an editor will pick up is based off of what they already published. That is a literal example of what they will accept and what's editorial ready for them. All right, so step 1, how do we do this, right? You're going to check the article submission guidelines. So say you want to write for Thrive Global. You're like, Thrive Global, I'm going to do that. That's the best, right? You're going to type that media outlet and then type the word write for us into Google. This is the fastest way to get straight to their article submission guidelines for any media outlet that you are writing for. And as you see right there, Thrive Global editorial guidelines.
Nice.
Mm-hmm. Then what you're going to do is you're going to check what's on their front page or in the section you're writing an article in. So I recommend doing a quick search. It doesn't even have to be long, maybe, 5-10 minutes, and just do a quick search in the front page or in the section you're writing for, and see what type of articles do they put up there? What type of topics are being written about? How do they format their headlines? Try and look for that, and model one of those articles. And then you really want to choose an article to model. So one of the pro tips and recommendations I have is to pick an article that makes you want to click on it, that you're intrigued by it, that you're like, ooh, that headline was written really well. I'm curious, because that's a good article to model.
Great idea.
Yeah. And
I love the word juicy that you used.
Oh, yeah.
Such a great word. Love it. So a juicy article title is what you want to click on. Yeah.
Exactly. Because the juicier your headline, the more clicks and the more traffic to it, and the likeliness that an editor will pick it up.
Actually, since we were just talking about Marie Forleo before, I feel
Yeah,
the need to share a little something.
go
I
for
did
it.
a copywriting class with her a couple years
Mhm.
ago, and her recommendation is whenever you write an article or blog post or whatever,
Yep.
you brainstorm at least 25 titles. And I do that every time. I usually do more like 30 because it's
Mhm.
almost like even if you end up selecting number 3, you're so firm in your selection of
Yep.
the number 3 one because you've looked at, 20 something more things.
Mhm.
Other thing is there are title generators out there. So I
Yep.
have this web page where I plug in my topic and I get ideas from that. So
Yes.
I want to
And
give some
like,
sense there.
yeah, and like and part of the reason why you want to like model that article is like, for example, that headline, that's a format right there. That's like a
Yes.
generator right there. You could plug in like the topic of your article into that headline. And
Right.
that's like super
Yep.
fast hack to get a high performing headline like instantly.
Mm-hmm.
So you definitely want to spend that time doing your research. Doesn't take long, but it's so worth it. And it increases your chances of the article actually getting picked up. Alrighty, step number 2, you want to pick a story angle. So why do we do this? One of the biggest mistakes I see people make when they're writing articles is writing like basic pieces and they end up sounding like everyone else, right? And so it's boring. It's the same old bland thing. It happens a lot in the mindset personal development space where you'll read an article and they'll say, meditate, gratitude lists, go for nature walks. And you're like, duh, tell me something new,
Yeah.
right? Or say it in a unique way, or say it in a way that has your unique perspective to it, right? Um, it's your story angle that actually draws in clients and more opportunities your way. So you want to spend some time really crafting a good story angle because that's what creates a viral factor. That's what makes people want to share your article. That's what makes people want to reach out to you. And that's what makes people feel really connected to you.
Mm-hmm.
And it positions you as an authority in your space because you're sharing something unique. You're separating yourself from the pack.
Mm-hmm. Are you going to talk more? Okay, there you go.
Mm-hmm.
Never
Yep.
mind.
I got you. So questions that spark great story angles. So I get this question a lot with different clients where they're like, oh, well, what can I talk about? Like, I'm not sure. So I'll spark different story angles out of them by asking questions like this. And there's so many more questions, but here are some samples of them, right? So a good question is like, what's something that you believe that's opposite of what everyone in your industry thinks? What's great about this question is Zig Ziglar says to zig when others zag. I think it's Zig Ziglar.
Probably.
Yeah. Don't quote me on that. But there's a psychology behind that. You know, when you are zigging when others are zagging, your message shows up differently. You create a blue ocean effect, right? And then what's a major problem in your industry that you have a solution for? So your ideal client is Googling stuff right now. They are frustrated, they need a solution, and they're trying to figure stuff out. When you figure out what is the major problem that you have a solution for or what they're struggling with, then your article shows up on page 1 as that solution because these major media outlets have high ranking on Google, right? They have so many articles, they're very keyword rich. They Their SEO is phenomenal. And so your article gets the benefit of all the SEO work that company did.
Just in case somebody doesn't know what SEO
Search engine optimization.
Can you just say like what that means really?
Yeah, definitely. So search engine optimization just means that it shows up on Google. Like it shows up if you have good SEO, good search engine optimization, it's going to show up on the first 1 to 2 pages. If you have bad SEO, it's going to be all the way back on like page 20.
Which nobody ever, I don't even ever go to page 2. Never mind.
Exactly. That's
Mostly, I
why.
scroll down actually.
Yes, that's why you want to be on page 1 of a Google search, and you want to be top of that Google search.
Mm-hmm.
So, and what's great about these different media outlets or media platforms is their articles are typically on page 1.
Mm-hmm.
So you get that benefit.
Mm-hmm.
Another great question is, what's something that you catch yourself ranting or raving about? So one of the fastest ways I know what is going to be juicy viral content for my clients is when they start ranting or raving about something. So when they go on a rant about something in their industry, or when they start raving about something in their industry or something that their client struggles with, right? That's juicy content. That's a story angle. And then finally is, how would you describe your ideal client? This one is beyond the most juiciest story angles that you can do and has such a high return rate. And I'm going to show you why.
While you're doing that, can you actually tell us who your ideal client is?
Yeah, for sure. So my ideal client is a new entrepreneur who wants to be a viral spiritual thought leader. They want to be the next Gabby Bernstein, Deepak Chopra, Tony Robbins in their space. They envision themselves speaking on stages, having a New York Times best-selling book, and teaching in retreats and doing coaching and really helping people with their mindset, their health, their mind, body, soul.
Wow, fantastic. Love it. It sounds like me, actually.
Yeah. Exactly. I work with very beautiful hearted people who are very mission driven. Like their business isn't just a business, it's a part of their mission here on earth.
Right. Yeah. And thus you living your life the way that you're promoting your people living their lives. Excellent. Love it.
Exactly. You got it.
I love the integrity, like the integration of your message and your lifestyle and your client base. You know, that's some real integrity right there.
Yeah, I think it's really important. Like I was talking with one of my friends the other day where there was a time in my business where I was so focused on like accolades and like getting this media feature and this keynote speaking opportunity. And it was like just focused on like success points. And it got to a point where I felt like, what's the point? You know, like it just didn't draw out of me anymore.
Right.
And when I looked deeper into it and did the work on it, it was because no, it's not just about hitting accolades or hitting, you know, 6-figure year or hitting like all these set points in our business. It's about also integrating our lives into our work. So what type of like lifestyle do you want to create? Like what type of legacy do you want to leave your kids? You know, what type of generational wealth do you want to create for the next generation? And what do you want to leave them? What do you want to teach them? And so it's when you blend that and like really create a lifestyle business around that, you have so much more fulfillment and happiness, and then your cup overflows and you're able to give so much deeper.
Right. And this goes back to what you said at the very beginning. Like when you have confidence, when you exude confidence, that's attractive to people.
Yeah.
I remember hearing a yoga teacher once say that people who have vitality of health, other people look at them for inspiration, but also they believe them.
Yeah.
And she says it's not good and it's not bad. It's just true. Because when people have vitality of life, It's clear they know how to do this thing called living.
Yes.
They know how to live. They've got, the combo of how to blend work and life and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, you don't want to just work your whole life and be miserable in the process. So much of like a lot of what I teach is the journey as well. So I feel the reason why my clients get really great results is they're enjoying the process. So it's pleasurable. So
Yeah.
it's not like, oh, I have to do all this work or oh, I have to do all these things. It's more like, how can we find the pleasure while you're doing this and make it more fun and more playful? So then you can be consistent and show up with it. You're only as consistent as your systems are simple. You're only
Right.
as consistent as it feels pleasurable.
Yeah. Yeah. And I love that you said consistent as your systems are simple.
That's
One,
for
a lot of people don't have systems, right? A lot of people don't have
Mhm.
systems. And the way to maintain consistency in anything is to have a system. But
Yep.
you're right, it needs to be simple because I think it's Ramit Sethi that says complexity. How does he say it? It's something like complexity just basically prevents people from doing anything. So not only do you want to make your own system as simple as possible, you
Yep.
want to make engagement from your audience as simple as possible. You don't want to put barriers in people's way. So when you make things complex, like your headline, for example, people are not going to read it.
Yes, exactly. Exactly. And like, even with what we're doing right now, like this, I, um, I've been doing this for like years now. So I want to say I've been in business for about 6, 7 years, right?
Mhm.
And I it was an inspiration blog, evolved into a marketing agency, and it evolved into coaching for what I'm doing now. And um, each year, I always like rework my systems to make what I'm teaching tighter. So
Nice.
what I'm teaching faster. So every workbook, every course, every program that I put out there has gone through years of research and years of reworking and in pivoting
Hmm.
so that it's the easiest possible solution for the client to go from point A to point Z.
Nice.
And so, like, for example, with what I'm teaching here, this was just years of research on like what was the fastest way to create an article. And the teaching of this is a bit longer, but when you implement, you can literally do this process in 30 minutes or less.
That's, that's
Right?
amazing.
Right. And so
Yeah.
I just figured out like what's the most important parts of a really high media feature, like a really viral media feature. And then that's it. That's what we're implementing on.
Fantastic.
Yay. But yeah, so heading back to the story angle, this is one of the most viral type of articles that you can write on. Like the viral type of topic is, how would you describe your ideal client? And here's why. So my client Katie wrote an article for Addicted to Success, right? She titled it 7 Signs You Are Unhealthily Addicted to Success, and signed over 10,000 in sales from that article. So what
Nice.
happened, right? Really cool.
Yay, Katie. Yay.
Yay, Katie. So what happened is, so she's a work success addiction coach. So she helps high performers who are workaholics have more, balanced lives. So they're not just working, working, working all the time. And so she wrote an article around 7 signs you are unhealthily addicted to success. And the psychology behind this, why this works so well, is people self-identify that they're your client.
Right.
And
Nice.
so what ends up happening is when they self-identify and go, oh, I have all these signs, and this person is the expert on this topic and can help me, I need to reach out to him or her. And that's
Mhm.
what happened. So she had people who read that article reach out to her and say, how can we work together? And then
Nice.
she brought them on a sales call and then sold to them. So yeah, that's a powerful one.
Absolutely.
Heck yeah. All right. So step 3, creating the headline. And we touched a bit on it before, but I'm going to dive in even deeper into how to do it tighter and why it's important. So editors get so many articles a day and have to publish so many articles a day. So your headline can be a quick yes or no if they'll pick up your piece. So they're having to go through so much that if you have a great article but a bad headline, there's a high chance that they might not even open your email or they might not even open your article.
Mm-hmm.
So you want to spend time really crafting a solid headline and really doing exactly what Barb said, like writing it out 25, 30 times until you get the best version of it. And then here's some facts about like how many pieces. Speaking
Wow.
of traffic, 4 million page views per day, 2.5 million page views per day, 6.4 million page views per day on average. So yeah, you want to be getting your articles and getting your message and getting your brand featured in big publications. Okay, so a quick headline hack is what we were describing earlier, where you pick an article that makes you want to click on it and model the format of that headline. So what I mean by model the format of that headline is you grab the article and you just remove the verbs and the phrases to fit with your topic and your message. So it would be like how to insert a cool thing without insert something you want to avoid. Example would be like how to eat cake without packing on any pounds. Or,
Nice.
you know,
That's a good one. Yeah.
right? Or how to tickle your dog without annoying him too much.
Mm-hmm.
You know? That's a quick headline.
Okay.
All right. And then the final step, step 4, is writing the article. And the article goes into these sections, which is your introduction, your lead-in, main content, conclusion, call to action. And I'll describe each of those sections very quickly. So why do we do this? When you write it in this way, you take the reader on a journey and give them these benefits. You get a know, like, trust factor, aka they like you, they trust you, you're cool. It showcases your expertise. So instead of just writing fluffy content, you're showing, what you know and showing why you're the expert. It creates connection. People feel this emotional bond with you and feel like they know you. And it invites them to take the next action step and want to reach out to you. So when you structure your article this way, by the end of the article, if you've written it super tight and if you've written it super powerfully, and if you've, reread it and like really worked on crafting an amazing article, by the end of the article, you should be receiving emails from people asking how they can work with you or asking if they could feature you. That's how you know you've really written an amazing article and really put in the time to make that solid. Alrighty, so writing the article. So at the beginning of the article, you start with an introduction. Typically, most articles, you're either sharing a personal story or you're sharing a public story around the topic of your headline. So this is where checking the article submission guidelines is so important, and doing your research is so important, because 9 times out of 10, what most entrepreneurs mess up on when they're writing an article for a media outlet is they are not looking at the style and what type of articles are being written, right? Some media outlets will not take your personal story. Some media outlets want you to write only about the public story. Other media outlets like Elephant Journal only take your personal story. And public stories would be too boring and not personal enough. That's why you want to do your research and just read and see what type of articles are being published on that platform. And an example of a personal story is, I struggled with tickling my dog too much. I knew I needed something to make me stop, right? That's personal. It uses a lot of I words.
Mm-hmm.
Public story is, there are over 45% of people who have a need to tickle their dog because of the so cute you got to squeeze genome, right? And the difference is, the public story is you're talking about how it's affecting other people. The personal story, you're talking about how it's affecting you personally. All right, the lead-in. So this sentence creates a transition from the intro to the main content. And so the fastest way to create a really solid lead-in is to repeat the headline your article is using this phrase. So here are insert headline below. So if your article is 5 ways to stop tickling your dog now, then you would say, here are 5 ways to stop tickling your dog now below. And then you would go straight into your main content, which is, this is where you teach and share your solution. Putting it in a listicle format, aka step 1, step 2, step 3, makes it real easy for the reader to read through it and to digest your content. So when you're teaching, just keep that in mind to bullet point it or number it so that people can get the information quickly.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, this is one of those things of making things user-friendly. You don't want to make things complicated. You want to make them simple. Yeah.
Exactly. You want to make it simple. And then the conclusion is, you tie in a point made in the introduction in the final paragraph and conclude your piece. So an example of that is, that's why knowing how to tickle your dog in moderation is so important. And don't worry, you can insert point made in intro too. So say like in the introduction, you said that you love tickling them in the ear and they're fine with that. So you would pull that sentence from the introduction and say, and don't worry, you can still tickle them in the ear too. On a psychological perspective, when you mention something in the beginning and then refer to it again at the end, it creates this bow effect. So it feels like the article is complete. It feels like the message is complete. It feels like the point is complete. And so doing that creates this like a well-being in your reader.
I remember being told, probably in college, when you write an essay, you say, here's what I'm going to say.
Yeah.
I'm saying it. Here's what I just said. That's essentially the formula.
Exactly. So you're like repeating like what you stated in the beginning. And then finally is the CTA, aka your call to action. This is where you direct the reader to take a simple action after reading your article. So it could be as simple as, what's your thoughts on the article? Share your thoughts in the comments below. Depending on the media outlet, this is why we do our research and check the article submission guidelines. Some places are cool with you sharing a link to your website or a link to your funnel. Some places are very anti-promotion. So you want to be aware of what their guidelines are, just so you can, if they are cool with you sharing a link to your funnel, you take advantage of that. And if they aren't, then you end it with a question to get people commenting on the article or to get people thinking deeper.
So question for you. So if you're the author of the article and people are commenting, do you have the ability to go in as the author and respond to their comments?
Yeah.
Or just as a regular person commenting?
So yeah, you definitely have, because once it's published, and then
Okay.
you can like go in and then respond to people and engage with them. And you definitely, if people are commenting, you want to respond back to them as the author and build that rapport and relationship.
Fantastic.
Yay! All right, so your article is complete, but you still got 3 more things to do, which is you want to reread it. So make sure it sounds right, that it flows. You want to take it through a grammar spelling edit. You don't want to send in an article that has all these grammar issues and spelling issues. And you want to format it. So you want to make it nice and neat. You want to give the heading text a header font, the body text a body font, and just make it look presentable and editorial ready. The mindset you want to have before you send your article in is, if the editor was to publish it today, would it be ready to be featured on that media outlet? No edits. So you want to make sure that you do the work of editing it before you send it in. Make it easy for the editor to say yes. You want to help them with their job. And then finally, bonus, your author bio. So this is the most powerful part of your article, is your author bio. That's where you can drop your website, social channels, and funnel links. So this is where people are able to reach out to you. They're able to figure out how to stay connected with you. And this is really your true call to action, is your author bio. So you want to leverage it. You want to share like who you are, who you serve, and how you help them. And then a link to stay in touch with you, aka wherever you want traffic to be sent to. I usually recommend sending people to an email list or your website, so then you can collect that traffic versus just having it spread out. And that's a really solid way for people to reach out to you and know where to go next. And that's how you create an article that gets featured in major media outlets. You are officially have publicity.
So I'm putting a banner on the bottom that shows the link to this particular page so they can get the free workbook. Now, question for you, is this presentation that you just did part of that workbook?
Yeah, so that workbook literally is how to write the article, but it's step by step. So you could take all the information that's in this, but in workbook form.
Okay, fantastic. So they don't need to worry about, oh, I was trying to get screenshots of the presentation and I couldn't do it. Okay,
yeah, it's all in workbook form for them.
Love it. So if there's anybody out there who has questions, go ahead and leave us a comment, and I will be sure to post it up, and we'll get your question answered. And this is true even after the fact. So this video is going to stay on Known Live on Facebook, as well as our YouTube channel, and we will monitor for comments. So if you are watching this on a recording, you can go ahead and leave a comment.
Yay!
We'll make the question answered just like we were talking about there. And don't forget that you can get a copy of this workbook at the website that's listed below. Burning question for me.
Yes.
Is, you made me think, well, how do I know which media outlet is the right one for me? Can you talk about that?
Yeah, for sure. So I have a guide. It has like the top 50 media outlets that help you figure that out. But in a quick nutshell, you want to think about where your ideal audience is hanging out and what type of media outlets they would read. So, for example, hey Lance, what up? So example, in the personal development space, right? If you are a yoga teacher or if you are a mindset coach, Mantra Magazine is a really good one. Thrive Global is really good. Mind Body Green is phenomenal. Like Goalcast, awesome. right?
Mhm.
These are places where your ideal client would be hanging out. If you are more of a marketer
Mhm.
or an agency owner, or you a copywriter, right? Social media today is phenomenal. You could get a lot of great traffic from there. Addicted to Success, that's a super engaged audience
Mhm.
for that media platform. You know, Entrepreneur Magazine, Fast Company, Fortune, Success Magazine. Um,
Mhm.
your audience is definitely hanging out there.
And do you think there's a difference between the way that you would go about doing this for a print article versus an online article?
Yeah. So when it comes to both of them, they're pretty similar. It's a matter of writing the article and sending it in. So you're going to go through the same process. It's just a matter of one gets published print, one gets published online. Like
Hmm.
one of my first print articles was for the old Law of Attraction magazine. So I shared a story about my cousin in there, and it was really cool to see it like in the grocery store. And I'm like, oh,
I
that's my
can't
face.
even imagine. That must have been so. Did you buy like all the copies?
Yeah, I literally, and I was showing people in like the cash register, the cashier. I'm like, that's me. Yeah, it
Oh,
was
that's
really
so
cool.
great.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
Yeah, one of my clients who got into Mantra magazine, she was freaking out too because they're like, "Oh, I'm at Barnes and Nobles."
Wow,
Mhm.
that's really incredible. So I'm assuming that the competition for the print article is much higher than online because, volume wise, they can change articles every day
Mhm.
online, but they can't once the print thing is done. Is that true?
It depends. I mean, it really depends on what's your intention and what you want to do. I think it's great to have online articles just because of the sharing factor and um, the Google alone, like
Yeah.
it's phenomenal. So I think most of your energy should be focused there.
Yeah.
It's definitely an ego boost to get it printed, though.
Yeah, yeah,
I
for
mean,
sure. And
that's
I
cool.
think of like my own style. Like I don't read magazines. I mean, at the doctor's office, I'll read a
Yeah.
magazine because it's there. But I don't get magazines anymore. I read blogs and I am on people's email list. And I listen to a lot of podcasts. That's really how because I can multitask. I do
Hmm.
like to be able to do that. But yeah, not. I think most of us are reading stuff online.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly. But you could
and you
still
can.
reach people via print
Yeah,
and like reach a really big audience that way
yeah,
too. Like people are uh, after COVID, once it's safe,
yeah.
people will be back in like, bookstores and the likes of that.
Right.
Mhm.
Yeah. And the thing about online too is you can literally click on a link and go to the person's webpage. Whereas if you're reading an article, you have to be so moved that you take
Yeah.
the magazine with you to the computer and you type it in there. I mean, nowadays
Mhm.
we are lazy. Like I'm at the microwave. I'm like, oh my God, I can't believe this is gonna take a minute.
Yeah, dang it. Why are you doing this to me, microwave? Yeah.
Yeah. Well, if there's anybody who has any comments for Miranda or any questions, be sure to leave them. I've got the tape running at the bottom there for how you can get your free media workbook. It includes everything that she covered today and more, and it's in workbook form. And I can tell you right now, I will be downloading that.
Heck
And,
yeah.
and then also, I'm going to put up now how you can reach Amanda. She's at Inspire Me Aran. I can't.
Inspired
Why
me.
can't I say that? Inspire Me Amanda, both on Facebook and Instagram. And that's actually a really fantastic example of how to use a title because you have branded yourself as someone who inspires people. Just by
Aw.
the name of your business, and it's just it's brilliant. And I love I love your whole package. I mean, I've loved following you on Instagram. You make me smile every single time I see your posts. And I also have to say, I don't know who your photographer is, but they're amazing because really fantastic photos. And it's just been such a pleasure to work with you. We have about 10 minutes left if you have anything else you'd like to share, or if there are more comments from the community. Let's see. So Zeph is saying hi to Lance. Okay.
Aw, that's really
And then also she's also saying hi to Chris. So this is really lovely that people are commenting to each other in the
Aw.
audience. But if anybody has anything they want to say to Amanda, then this is the time to do it. We only have a few minutes left. But if there's more that you want to say,
Yeah.
go right ahead.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. Speaking to the magazine part, so something that I want people to be aware of is it's not always just writing articles for media features. Hey, Juan. It's also being on their social media platforms. It's being on their podcasts. It's can show up as being quoted by a journalist. Like there's so many ways to get publicity. And my client who got 1.5 million views and went viral on Instagram, which that virality grew her Instagram following from 1.9 thousand followers to 13,000 followers overnight.
Wow.
What happened was she pitched an IG story to the Dodo, and the Dodo has 7.4 million followers on their Instagram. They picked up the IG story and shared it on their Instagram. So you could do a quote unquote media feature by getting shared or republished on an Instagram channel or a Facebook page or a Twitter account. So that's another way to get publicity. And it's the same type of mindset. It's the same type of, doing your research, creating something that would be a good fit for that media outlet, and then pitching it, sending it over to them and saying, hey, do you want to pick this up?
Fantastic. And one of the other things that I've learned is if you're a blogger, be a guest blogger on someone else's blog, because most bloggers are like, content, what do I have? They're going to be like, oh my God, yay, it's a relief. I have one day of not having to create content, as long as this person is like, has the same, at least an overlap of audience. One of the things that I want to share, since you talked about refining your writing, is the Hemingway app. And so it's called an app. It's a website. You literally copy and paste your writing into the web page. And it tells you whether you have grammar problems, whether you have extremely difficult sentences, you've used too many adverbs, that sort of thing. And it has helped me tremendously to simplify my writing, because I am more of a think out loud person. And what I'm doing is taking my podcast content, which is primarily verbally driven, and turning it into writing. So I really need to simplify it and polish it, and it has helped me tremendously. So I put that at the bottom here in case people are interested in that. So again, it's called an app. It's a website. It's probably an app too, but I don't know about you. I don't write articles on my phone. I write them.
That's really good, because I love that you mentioned that you're a think out loud person, because that's one of the biggest limiting beliefs like people have around writing articles, because they'll say, oh, I'm not a writer, oh, I'm not that good at this, or different stuff like that. And something that I do with my clients is I ask, especially the clients that feel like they're not a good writer, is I'll ask them like really powerful questions that'll pull out the article for them.
Yeah. So. I think, look, for me, writing is about thinking, really. And so I have always said, people say write an outline. I don't know what I'm going to say. How can I write an outline? So what I have to do is create content and look at what I have and then rearrange it. And one of the things that has revolutionized my process of content creation is the dictate function in Microsoft Word. I realized, for one, I have a problem with my shoulder, and typing a lot is really a problem for me. So I was like, I got to cut down on that. Plus the fact that I'm an out loud thinker. So I started dictating emails in my phone to me to get it from verbal to writing. And one day I was on the phone with somebody and I'm looking at Microsoft Word and I see this dictate button. I was like, hold the phone. What is this? And
Yeah.
it has changed everything for me because I can simply talk and it captures my words and all I have to do is go back and edit it. So if you're an out loud thinker like I am, you
Mhm.
can be a writer. A
Oh,
writer is just
definitely.
someone who thinks about things and has the ability to convey their thinking to other people. And even if you're not the greatest writer, but you have great ideas, you can hire people to edit.
Mhm.
You know, that's what copy editors are for. That's what editors are for. You
Yeah.
know,
Exactly. Exactly. And like if you ask the right questions, you're going to provide the right answers, which will provide the content. So, I'm a huge fan of like content prompts where it's stuff that prompts your thinking to
mm-hmm.
start going into a certain direction so that you
Right.
can start sharing on that topic.
Right, like your questions about the angle were a
Mhm.
perfect example of that. Because my first thing was like, how do you
Yeah.
know, what angle? And I thought I thought this was a fantastic presentation. I got a ton out of it. Like I said, I'm
Aw.
absolutely going to be downloading your workbook, and I'll probably be following up with you as well. I'm putting that banner on the bottom again one more time. And I absolutely encourage everybody to connect with Amanda on Instagram and or on Facebook at Inspire Me Miranda. Amanda, what is
I
my
think you want me to be Miranda from Sex
I,
and the City.
I do have a very lovely a friend that I adore very much, and
Uh-huh.
in some ways you remind me of her. She's a spirit
Aw.
person for sure, and she's much younger than me as you are, and maybe that's why. But Inspire Me Amanda is her Facebook and
Yeah.
Instagram. Those are her handles. I'm saying handle. Is that even a word that we use for Instagram?
Instagram
That
handle.
reminds
Yeah.
me of the the
Mhm.
days when the truckers used to talk on CB radios and they called it a handle. I don't know where I pulled that from, but anyway, 3 minutes left. That if you have more to say, then by all means share it, and if not, we can end a couple minutes early if you'd like.
Yeah. Let me see. Something that I do want to share with people because it's a lot of information, right? So you're like, oh my gosh, where do I start?
Yeah.
Start with one, right? Set an intention for, one place that you really want to get featured in and just focus in on it, right? Don't feel like you have to create this whole like 100 places you're going to reach out to by tomorrow, right? That's,
Right.
you want to always start with one.
Yeah.
And that's with everything in life, right?
Yeah. Absolutely.
You,
Yeah.
you focus on the next right step,
Mhm.
um, and take action on that. And then the next right step after that gets revealed.
Yeah,
Um,
agreed. Yeah. I come from the world of 12-step recovery, which has just absolutely revolutionized my life. And so what you just said, like one of the sayings in there is do the next right thing, because a lot of people who are either addictive or compulsive or whatever get so bogged down on everything that they do
mhm.
nothing. And so what is the next right thing? And then also the concept of one day at a time, which to me could mean one moment at a time, 1 hour at a time, one article at a time. The
Mhm.
idea is if you have something big to do, you break it down. And if
Yep.
you don't know what to do, just do the next thing that occurs to you to do that's going to move you forward. So moving forward, even at a snail's pace, is better than standing still.
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, there's value to standing still, mindfulness, and awareness. Um,
Mm-hmm.
it gives you the information to know what the next right step is. But just taking these mini steps is super powerful. And just an awareness on a mini step that might feel scary, but is so worth it, is reaching out to a really big media outlet, or reaching out to a really big influencer, or reaching out to somebody you feel wouldn't even give your brand the time of day, and just doing it,
Mm-hmm.
because it's a 50-50 shot.
Mm-hmm.
You can get really big out of this world opportunities for your business just by sending that pitch that you're scared to send. The
Right.
worst thing they do is ignore it. The best thing is they pick it up. And
Right.
now you're on a much larger platform. Now you're collaborating with a much larger outlet. Now you're getting sponsored with this huge company
Right.
because you reached out.
Right. And if they say no, you're not going to die.
Yeah.
And the thing is
No,
that getting
your back.
rejected is something, as a creative person, you're going to be rejected. And the sooner you get used to that, the better you are. So it's 11:01, so we've gone over time. I want to thank you so much, Amanda. This was absolutely fantastic. I personally will absolutely be using your stuff. I'm sure people will do. People, go ahead and leave comments, even if you're watching the recording. And thanks again, Amanda.
Thank
Have a
you.
great day.
Yeah,
Bye.
thank you. I love it.